Did you know that a fence built in Escondido needs completely different engineering than one built just 20 miles away in La Jolla? It's wild, but it's true. Welcome, everyone. If you're looking for clear, actionable, and absolutely zero fluff information, you are in the perfect place. Today's explainer is a deep dive into the San Diego fence buyer's blueprint, specifically updated for 2026. Look, a new fence is a massive investment. We're often talking over the $10,000 mark here, and we're going to cut right through the noise. We'll give you the precise data, the real costs, and the local insights you need to navigate the San Diego market without getting burned. So let's just dive right in. So why do so many San Diego fences end up leaning, sagging, or just completely failing after a couple of winters? It is a massive, incredibly frustrating pain point for homeowners who really thought they did everything right. The thing is, a quick Google search on how to build a fence just isn't going to cut it here. A top-rated fence company out in Phoenix or Seattle might completely drop the ball in San Diego because our environmental conditions are so uniquely specific. Our county is basically this crazy patchwork of microclimates. We're dealing with highly varied soil types, intense sun, and unique coastal weather systems. If your contractor doesn't know these local microclimates intimately, your hard-earned investment is literally going to lean, rot, or blow over. Here is our blueprint for today, just so you know exactly how we're going to logically tackle this. We'll cover the 3 hiring paths, San Diego's unique climate requirements, the real costs and timelines for 2026, and finally, how to properly vet your fence quote. All right, part 1, the 3 hiring paths. Who is actually building your fence?
When it comes to hiring a team, you've basically got 3 different routes, and honestly, the whole vibe and experience of each one is totally different. First up, you have national platforms like Ergeon. Think of these almost like the Uber of fencing. They offer a super standardized process, they manage the platform, and they'll even handle the headache of filing permits for you. It's incredibly predictable, but the trade-off? You get an assigned subcontractor crew. You aren't building a relationship with the folks actually digging the holes in your yard, and if something goes wrong, your repairs are handled through an online ticketing system. Next, you've got marketplace pros on sites like Thumbtack or Yelp. Now, this is kind of the Wild West. You'll see real local reviews, but you really have to be careful. The prices they show up front are often national averages, not our inflated San Diego numbers. Plus, a lot of these pros are general contractors who just do fencing on the side, meaning they might lack that specialized expertise. And finally, you have dedicated local contractors. These are the folks who live and breathe fencing. They offer custom written quotes, they use their own in-house crews, and they usually offer same-week repair responses because, well, they're right down the street. You do have to do the legwork to verify their licenses yourself, but you are getting specialized trade knowledge. It really just comes down to what you value most: corporate predictability, endless options, or dedicated local expertise. Moving right along to part 2, San Diego climate requirements, or why a generic fence is basically doomed here. Our local geography is the absolute secret sauce to building a fence that lasts. If you live on the coast, places like La Jolla, Encinitas, Coronado, that heavy salt air rolling off the Pacific will literally eat standard zinc-plated screws for breakfast. Within just a few blocks of the water, standard steel rusts incredibly fast. We're talking a beautiful new fence turning into a streaky orange mess in a matter of months. You absolutely need a contractor who uses marine-grade hardware, like stainless steel or hot-dip galvanized brackets. But take a short drive over to the inland yards in Escondido or San Marcos, and salt isn't your enemy anymore. Instead, you're fighting expansive clay soil. This stuff acts like a giant sponge, swelling up during our winter rains and shrinking into rock-hard, cracked dirt in the summer. Plus, you've got those brutal Santa Ana winds, so the materials and the construction methods needed to survive these 2 completely different zones, they're practically opposites. For those of you inland dealing with that expansive clay, there's a magic number I need you to memorize right now: 24 to 30 inches. That is exactly how deep your fence posts need to be set into the ground, because that clay soil is literally expanding and contracting. If your posts are only dug, say, 18 inches down, the shifting earth will slowly pop them out like loose teeth. A solid crew knows they have to set those posts below the active soil zone and use substantially more concrete than the bare minimum. This is the exact spot where cheap bids skimp to save a few bucks. And the result? Your fence is visibly leaning within 2 winters. Guarantee it.
And inland yards also have to contend with wind load. When the Santa Ana winds rip through the valleys, hitting gusts of 50 or 60 miles an hour, a standard solid wood privacy fence basically acts like a giant boat sail. It catches all of that force. If that wind load isn't accounted for, your entire fence line is going down, snapping right at the base of the posts. Strong local companies will plan for this. They might add extra posts, use shorter panel spans to make it rigid, or recommend a shadow box design. A shadow box staggers the wood pickets on either side of the rail. It looks gorgeous, gives you your privacy, but crucially, it lets those high-speed winds pass right on through.
All right, let's jump to part 3, real costs and timelines. These are the 2026 numbers you actually need to know. Let's build out your budget. For 2026, here are your typical per-foot cost ranges, fully installed in San Diego. Chainlink is still your most economical bet, running between $18 and $42 per foot. Wood steps it up to between $45 and $75 per foot. And quick tip, out here you really want to stick to cedar or redwood. They naturally resist rot and handle our intense sun way better than cheap pine. Now, at the top tier, Class A vinyl runs $55 to $95 per foot. It's an upfront investment for sure, but vinyl is amazing near the coast because it completely resists salt air and UV rays with practically zero upkeep. To put all this into perspective, a typical 150-foot backyard wood privacy fence is going to run you somewhere between $6,800 and $11,500. And keep in mind, things like sloped terrain, custom gates, or strict HOA rules will push those baseline numbers up.
Now, what about the timeline? Well, the actual time workers spend swinging hammers in your yard is just a tiny fraction of the process. Step 1 is the waiting period. Getting your quotes, scheduling, and waiting on approvals usually takes 2 to 5 weeks. Most standard rear fences in San Diego don't need a city permit, but if you've got an HOA, they absolutely require their own architectural reviews, and that takes time. Step 2 is super fast. On-site installation is usually knocked out in just 1 to 3 days. But here is Step 3, the vital phase everyone completely forgets about: concrete cure time. The concrete footings holding your posts need about a full month to fully cure before they can handle heavy pressure. So please, don't let the kids use it as a jungle gym, and do not let your 80-pound golden retriever slam into it chasing a squirrel on day 3. Just give it time to set.
And that brings us to our final section, part 4, vetting your fence quote. Let's spot those red flags before you sign anything.
Picture this. You open an email from a contractor, and the quote is literally just one single, vague line item that says, "Fence, $7,000. Treat that as a massive, glaring red flag. Run the other way. This tells you absolutely nothing about what you are actually buying. It's basically a blank check for the builder to cut corners. It doesn't specify if the posts will be dug deep enough for the clay. It doesn't promise marine-grade hardware. It doesn't even tell you the type of wood. Vague quotes like this are exactly how well-meaning homeowners get taken advantage of. Instead, you need to firmly demand a bid that meets this checklist. This right here is what separates the true pros from the amateurs. A legitimate quote must have detailed written line items. It needs to include exactly how the demolition and haul away of your old fence is handled, because hauling rotted wood to the dump is expensive, and you don't want a surprise fee on day 2. It must name the specific wood species or vinyl grade. It absolutely must state the post depth. Remember, 24 to 30 inches. It needs to name the hardware grade, like hot dip galvanized, and crucially, you have to verify their CSLB license, the California Contractors State License Board, and ensure they have active liability and workers' comp insurance. A good, honest contractor is going to hand all of this over without a moment's hesitation. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Take a look at the estimate sitting on your kitchen counter right now. Does that fence quote actually match your yard's unique microclimate? Are you paying for a generic off-the-shelf build or a customized San Diego solution that's actually designed to last? Remember, the best company isn't just the one with a 5-star rating. It's the one that explicitly quotes your exact yard in writing, sets posts deeply for your specific soil, and matches its hardware to your local weather zone. Be an empowered buyer. Use this blueprint and demand the specifics. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy building!